Welcome to the Transcend and Succeed show. Today I will be talking with Scott Friedman, a personal trainer, fitness nutrition coach and behaviour change specialist. And he's here to give us his refreshingly honest take on the fitness and nutrition industry and how he is helping people turn their health from a chore to a lifestyle. So welcome to the show, Scott. It's lovely to have you.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. This is great.
Can you share your experience with us? What made you question your purpose in life to embracing a path of empowerment and mentorship in fitness and mindset coaching?
So I would say there's two main things, and I preface this as I don't think this will be a usual story potentially that people might hear, or we normally hear in these kind of stuff is like some sort of traumatic experience. Everyone talks about it and they're like, oh wow, that's really traumatic. I don't think mine's like that, so I want to preface the conversation because
it's all perceived as different, isn't it? Yeah, one experience can be perceived as harsh by one and not so much so by another. It's all about our experience.
100%. And so I think two main things really propelled me. One was that I was always into being kind of like, I want to be in shape. I had a very big fear of getting out of shape when I was younger. I can date it back all the way to like 8th grade, where I was like, I need to be in shape. And I wasn't even lifting weights back then or working out, but it was one of those things where I was a skinny kid and I was known for being this skinny kid. And I liked that label that was kind of in the air for me. And I wanted to make sure I kind of kept that for the long run. So I think that implanted kind of this fitness journey and this healthy lifestyle into me. And then the second thing was at some point, and I can't exactly pinpoint it when it started, but I would say right around sophomore or junior year of high school, I saw the world very differently than other people. I could tell by people around me, or at least no one was talking about it. But I went through, from that point, so I think I was 15 or 16, probably 10 years of kind of going through depression and anxiety. I saw multiple therapists, did a bunch of times. I was on medication for years and years and years. And that journey itself also enhanced my desire to create a better and healthier life along the way. So I think there was two causes of kind of me going into that.
So how did your personal battle then with depression and your medication, how did it influence your approach to helping others overcome mental barriers, I suppose, in their fitness journey?
Yeah, so I guess just to give you the answer, I kind of have to give the preface, I believe. And so, so when I'm, 15, 16 years old, I have this, I wake up every day and I have no explanation for this, by the way. I still have no idea. You talk to the therapist and like, hey, what happened in your childhood? I'm like, nothing. I had a great household. My parents were great. I didn't get along great with my brother and sister, but who does at that age? And there wasn't anything like I could think of that was bad. There was no traumatic experience when I was younger that anyone told me about. It was just, I'd wake up and I just had this I'm not sure if nihilism is the word, but like, what is the point of all this? This seems so meaningless. A very meaningless kind of feeling to it. I wake up every day. How do I get out of going to school? School is brutal. I hate it. This sucks. And I had plenty of friends. It wasn't like I was by myself. Plenty of friends. I was involved in some sports. I wasn't the coolest kid, but I wasn't the nerdiest kid. I was right in the middle. Like nothing you can point to that would indicate why I was going through this. And so high school ends. I go to college, and it gets worse. I think I have control. I just battle through. Man, it's fine. This is how life is. I'm just gonna be not happy, not sad. Just kind of like every day is didn't mean anything. And then my junior year of college, it got bad. It got like worse than normal. I was I couldn't get out of bed in the morning. I would skip class. I think drinking probably, I'm 21. Drinking probably did not play a good role in this because drinking's a depressant. So as I drank, I would wake up hungover and even more depressed because I was drinking. So that probably played a pretty big role. But yeah, I didn't have an explanation. So I finally told my parents, I was like, guys, look, like and they had no idea for like 5 or 6 years. I'm just like, I don't feel good. I feel terrible going through all these different things. And I finally tell them, and they're very supportive. Of course they blame themselves, which is it was not my intent. So I finally I finally do my first round of therapy, and I didn't find it very helpful at all. I didn't find their approach helpful, and I was okay, I'm still stuck with this. And so this is kind of that moment. So because I am a kinesiology major in college, which is exercise science, and I was studying nutrition, exercise, fitness, all this different stuff. And I knew I was going to be a personal trainer when I graduated. And I was like, okay, well, what if, and I've been, you read all these textbooks, I go, there's clearly a line here of being in shape and living a longer and higher quality life. There is a direct correlation. I said, okay, well, what if like I could use fitness in a way that helps me, at least curb the depression, make me feel, instead of feeling like a 2 all the time, maybe I can feel like a 5 or 6 all the time, right? Maybe I can get that up by using fitness in a different way. And really kind of what started me on the journey is realizing there's something wrong. I have no idea what's wrong, but all I know is that there's something there. Now, I didn't mention along the way, I did get from, I believe it was like senior year of high school, or maybe it was sophomore, whatever it was. I took pills. I forgot what it was. It was my parents had to get approval because I was whatever it might be, and because I was on their insurance. That's why I was like, why do I need approval? I'm 21. I was on their insurance, and I took like the highest dose you can take of like Searchlight. I think it was like 200 milligrams, which is like the highest you can get, and that would just like barely like alleviate the edge. I take it. And then there's I can get to a whole story about why I stopped taking it actually a couple of years later. But I took that for probably 5 years or so. And so to circle back there, starting to my fitness career, I wanted to start learning how I could use fitness to help enhance the quality of my life, which currently was being taken over by this thought and feeling of just feeling terrible all the time. And that's kind of how I got into it. And that's kind of how my journey kind of started with it.
Okay. And I know when we had a good chat beforehand, but tell us about your key pillars or principles that you emphasize for individuals striving to achieve their goals, both in fitness and in life in general.
I love that question because I think this is what kind of separates me a little bit from the rest of the industry is along the way, when I was a personal trainer, I would train people, hustle and grind. Let's work out. Let's do it. And what I found was 50% would do it no problem. I give them the workout, they go do it. The other 50% with the same exact plan or this, or with a very identical looking, like just this is a very good plan for you, just wouldn't do it. They could not succeed. And so I'm thinking, okay, like I am working my butt off here. Like, why aren't these people seeing success when there's really no reason that they shouldn't see success? And after studying and going through courses and just kind of, watching YouTube videos and watching videos like this, like trying to figure out people's stories and what they're saying, I realized that fitness is more than just working out. Fitness was a mindset. Fitness was a lifestyle, and I needed to learn how to tap into this lifestyle in order to help the other 50%, because 50% of people are just going to do it, right? Like Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, LeBron James, they're all just going to do it. Tom Brady, they're all just going to work hard. But how do you get the athlete who just like isn't as good as them to just keep, to work hard as well, to keep doing it through other means? Because the best of the best are just going to do it. How do we get the rest of us to get to that level? And that's where I came up with my three main pillars that I try and teach people. So I shifted away from the hard nose, hustle and grind, lift weights, don't complain, willpower works, just go do it, don't be a baby, to hold on a second, there's something else here. And we need to actually develop ourselves from a mindset perspective. So mindset's my number one key that I teach people, is how to kind of start to control their mindset. The next one is motion, and the third one is momentum. So those would be the three key pillars that I usually teach people, because that was the missing piece that I found along the way, is that like, okay, people are missing this, and I use it in my own life. So I am the tried and true method of using this exact process, going through my anxiety, going through my depression, and figuring out ways that I can learn to enhance my own life. And that's kind of where it came from.
So then how is your thinking and your approach to your training, and how's that changed over time, and how does that impact your clients?
I would say the biggest thing is that, and no, through no fault of any trainer out there and nothing like that, but most of us are taught how to design fitness programs. We are taught, here's how many sets, here's how many reps, here's the rest, here's this, here's the stimulation, here's how you create a program. And then trainers take that knowledge and they basically tell people what to do with that knowledge. Great, good system for those of you who are going to listen. For the people who won't listen right away, you can either say, A, you can spend all this money and not listen, and then you're still where you are, and then you hate trainers, and you're never going to get in shape, and it's a lower quality life, or from your perspective, it could be a lower quality life. Or I could add in, okay, this programming is here, but maybe I take a little bit less of the, here's exactly how you should work out, and spend more time on what is stopping you from implementing this plan. And that's, I think, a huge, it sounds so simple, but like the reality is people aren't really trained on that. And I took the extra effort to kind of go through and work on it and all those different things. But how do you add the mindset work to it? And that's what I changed about my coaching. So instead of like, just wake up at 5 a.m. Oh, wake up. Okay, well, your kid's up. Wake up earlier. Do this. Now, those are still essential components. But what I was missing was the touch, the nuance to everyone's individual situation. Because if someone simply will not listen because there is an obstacle in their way that's unseen, that's not tangible, then you can give them as much information as you want. You can give them as much education as you want. But if there is a mountain in front between you and them that you can't see, you're just throwing things at it, and they're not seeing it. They're not listening. They're not hearing you. And so taking that approach to climb over the mountain or move the mountain out of the way is that added thing that I've done to my coaching program with my clients, to add, okay, how do we get past this? What's stopping you? What stopped you in the past? What do you think? What are your goals? And we really do a deep dive into what they're thinking so that I can implement a better program for them.
Yeah, it's getting to the root cause, isn't it? It's
Exactly.
not like slapping a Band-Aid on it. It's, getting to the root cause and sorting that, and then the blockage will disappear, right?
Exactly, 100%. I mean, it's, I give someone a workout program. Okay, we'll meet in a week. Here's your plan. Here's your nutrition. And then a week later, all right, so how'd you do? Oh yeah, it was a rough week. I had this meeting that ran long, and it cut into my gym time. And then my kids and this and and I'm not I'm not saying there aren't going to be situations that arise, but over the course of weeks, and you're spending money to do all this, it's like, guys, we need to make sure that we're doing it. So how do you break past that? So it's, okay, how do I get to the root cause? So you're telling me you don't have enough time. Let's break that down. You're telling me that, X, Y, Z, and eventually you get down to, usually there's a couple different core reasons. I would say, I want to give a percentage, but I would say the vast majority of reasons that people tend not to do something is the fear. And I want to correct this is my first time correcting myself ever. I used to say it was the fear of judgment. And I have now evolved that thought to, it is the fear of public judgment. It is the fear of judgment and other people know. So it's like the fear of failure because you're being judged for failing, but then other people know. Because I don't think we mind failing in silence, failing in if no one sees me fail, then no big deal, whatever. But if everyone sees me fail, then it's a huge embarrassment, right? So for example, just a good fitness, if you're doing, pull-ups in your garage and no one's watching and you fall, you fell, you're hurt, it's like, oh my gosh. But if you do that at the gym and everyone sees you and everyone's staring at you, there is a visceral, like even for me, like that's a different reaction. So I think number one was one of the biggest things people did not like with their fitness nutrition was the fear of failing publicly. Whether that's working out, whether that's being embarrassed, whether that might be, that was one of the root causes we get into. And then we identify, okay, how can we get over this cause? How can we get past this? What are steps we can take? There's a couple other the fear of failure is another one. Just generally, people don't like to fail. That's another one that we usually get. Yeah. But those would be some of the reasons. Those would be some of the reasons that we point to when we try and get to the root cause.
So, if you had a client in front of you that was, afraid of being judged, like you just mentioned, how would you help them get through that?
Well, I think a couple different things. I think being judged is, number one, it's a reality of life. Let's just be honest. We're all being judged all the time, and we're judging other people. And if you're not, you're better than everyone else. Okay. Like I don't know. You're being judged. So I think there's two things about that. One is, why does that bug you so much? First thing, breaking down why. And again, I am not a psychologist. I'm not I don't have a medical degree. I just talk it out. We just talk it out, because the more you can talk something out, the more things come to the surface of like what's actually going on versus this random, ambiguous, dark thing. If we can break down what it is and see what it is, we realize how small it is in our life, and then we can more easily let it go. Not saying it's guaranteed, but we can more easily let it go. So breaking it down. So you're saying, okay, you have this fear of judgment. Why? Like what happens in your body? Why do you think this way? What happened? Is there a situation? And you ask questions about their experiences. I think that's that's the first thing I would do, is ask about their experiences, because there's probably something that has happened, or they've built an identity based on something that they feel is important. And if they fail, that disrupts their identity. If it disrupts their identity, then potentially they might be an outcast. And one of our biggest fears is to be an outcast and not be accepted in society. That's a huge driving factor for a lot of people. So you break that down, right? And you go to the worst possible case scenario, and then you really, how realistic is this worst possible? Like, how realistic is it if you fail and you fall at the gym, or you don't lose the 20 pounds you said you're going to lose, that you're going to lose all your friends, no one's going to talk to you, you're going to lose your job, everyone's going to hate you, and you're going to have all these different horrible things that we imagine for ourselves? Or is it going to be like 5 seconds of like annoyance, and then you're just going to move on, right? And we break down to kind of create more of a logical standpoint from it, because when you're emotional, nothing's going to stop you. You are emotional, and it, there's nothing you can do. But if you can break it down to its smallest parts, people tend to go, oh, yeah, like that doesn't make any sense. Like, you're right. I could, maybe I can do this. Maybe I could, maybe I can't. And then you start to think, you start to change that narrative. So that's the first thing. The second thing is something I like to call, and this is my nerd coming out, so I'll try and make this as non-nerdy as possible. But basically, it's, you are the main character in your own life. Fact. Do not let side characters dictate what the main character does. Like, no one in the world has any right to tell you what you should be doing and what you shouldn't be doing when it comes to, your life, right? Like, inherently, okay? Barring anything illegal. Okay, let's just, let's take that out of the equation. Like, why would I let my friends who doesn't know, everything about me tell me why am I seeking their approval? Why do I need someone else's approval in order to live my life? Don't give main character energy to a side character in the show. Okay, Iron Man doesn't care what some nobody in the street thinks, right? Like, it's his life. He's going to live it. It's your life. You have to live it. And I think when you shape that perspective of, you're the main character, so are you going to live it the way you want to live it, or are you going to live it the way someone else wants to live it? And to put it even in a bigger perspective, the chances of you personally being alive or being born at all right now is 1 in like 400 trillion. Okay, everyone is so unique. It's so difficult to get to where we are. Why would you allow a emotional feel that we can break down of someone else to get in your way? And then, of course, within that, I know I've been rambling, so I'll let you go. But
no, it's good stuff. It's good stuff.
I hope so. And of course, within the main character energy analogy that I used, there's also like, you can ask yourself some questions. Okay, so let's say you're at the gym and you embarrass yourself, and someone that you've never met looks at you and makes fun of you. Well, first off, ask yourself, okay, first off, I don't even know who they are. So why would you, if you don't know who they are, don't care. Like, you know what I mean? Like, just draw a line, like make a notepad. Don't know who they are, don't care, right? Do I know who they are? Yes. And do they have an impact on my life? No, don't care, right? And you go through this list. Do I not know who they are, but so on and so forth. And you go through all the different scenarios. And at the end of the day, you narrow down who you really should take advice from to a very selective few people. And it comes down to, do I know them? Have they been where I've been? And can they help me? And do they have expertise to help me if they're trying to help me with something? And unless those handful of things are true, then why would I ever listen to someone? So if someone is, let's say, a trainer, or let's just say some guy in the gym or some girl in the gym is making fun, oh, you should do this, while they're eating a Snickers bar and they're 80 pounds out of shape, it's like, not sure, and I don't know who you are, I'm not sure I'm going to let your opinion of you dictate what I do with my life, even though I was embarrassed. And so it's all about figuring out and identifying from a logical perspective whose opinion we might want to listen to. And the same goes for coaching, or even on when you're, or anything like that. If the coach has been where you've been, check, awesome. If the coach has taught someone else what you're trying to learn, great, even better. If the coach has taught someone else what you want to learn, but they've done it multiple times, awesome. That person you might want to listen to. But if the coach has never been where you want to be, or has no expertise or knowledge in that field, they haven't taught someone, like, why would I ever listen to them? And so that's how I use the same approach with clients. When they come in front of me with judgment, it's like, well, let's break that down. First off, who is this person at the gym that you're trying to impress, and why do you care what they think? Right. And then when you're able to actually get someone when we were all kids, we always just ask why. I just ask why for 25. I'll just ask you why for 25 minutes until you tell me the honest truth. And then we can break down, okay, how do we get over this hill? How do we get over this? And I think that's the approach that I've learned to take now that I understand that the mindset plays such a drastic role in our success.
Totally agreed. I think we all put too much energy out there to what other people think about us. Yeah. And really we're trying to put energy out there to people that we can't control their thinking. We can't control their opinions. So at the end of the day, what is the point? Right.
Right. And it's one of those things where it's like, I heard this quote the other day. It's from like Alex Hormozy. So if your fan base knows him, very famous guy. He just became like super famous like a year ago, and he's a big fitness/business guy. And he basically said, if I sell a product, people get mad at me that it's not free. And if I give a product away for free, the other people are mad at me for not selling it. And so like, you're never going to make everyone happy.
No,
and so
never.
And then why should we do it? Like, why should I make, and also, does their opinion actually matter in my life? Because in 40 years from now, am I going to be friends with this person? Are they going to matter in my life? And am I going to live with regret? And that's another concept that we talk about is like, would you rather try now and put it in there versus living with regret 30 years from now? And I think that's another concept that people don't necessarily look into, because it's like, I'd rather not have the approval now of someone knowing I did it my way, or at least I tried my best, even if I failed, versus always thinking, I could have done that. I could have been in shape. I could have done this. And then you live with that kind of that guilt, that regret for not going for it when you could have. And not to say it's too late for anyone. I'm just saying, when we're in our 80s, 90s, 100s, 110s at this point, that those are thoughts that people come to. And we talk about that as well.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's great that you because that's really, inner work, doing a little bit more of inner work, doing that deep dive, as you said, and that's fantastic. So that's partly, self-reflection. Is self-reflection something that you encourage people to do in general, or is it only when you find that somebody's been a bit resistant?
I don't recommend it to everyone because their personality type isn't for it. For example, I hated self-reflection and meditation. When I first came out, again, I was this, lift heavy weights guy, work hard. I don't care. I don't care about woo-woo yoga or meditation or reflection. That stuff's for monks and people who don't know what they're doing. Now, after really going and using this as part of my own journey to get through my own areas of struggle, I don't recommend it for everyone. I think everyone has their own thing to do, and there's different methods of self-reflection. One, you have kind of that short form meditation. You have long form meditation. You can do journaling. That's self-reflection. So there's a couple of different ways you can do it. if I don't think it's necessary, or and they really, really push back, then I won't push it. But I do recommend it, generally speaking, for most people. Because if nothing else, self-reflection calms the mind, and it really gets you to take perspective of your day, of yourself, and the things you've done, and that's very valuable. So again, I recommend it generally to most people, but I won't necessarily push it on people if it's something that they're really against. So know your audience is another key to that. So, because not everyone does self-reflection. It's not something that's you don't have to do it, but I personally think it's very valuable.
Uh-huh. Can you share an example of a client transformation based on these 3 pillars that you utilize?
Yeah. So I had a client probably about a year ago at this point. Trying to think when we ended our sessions together, and it's unfortunate because my whole goal is not to see them again. Like, I want you to be self-sufficient. I don't want to keep seeing you, and that's part of my beef with the fitness industry is they just keep having you come back. I'm like, I literally don't want to see you again once I work with you. But yeah, so one transformation was I was with this client, and I'll change names and everything, but she was having trouble starting her workout. And so I started with the normal, okay, here's your routine. Take a picture of your fridge. Like, let's do all this stuff. Like, let's go through what do we need, what do we not need, what do you have to have. Went through everything. We came up with the best diet plan and the best workout routine for her time, right? How much time do you have? What are you willing to give? What's the ramp up model we're going to use? And it was great. I put hours of effort into this thing. And after 2 weeks, I realized very quickly that she wasn't going to do it. She said she was going to do it. She was committed to it. And that's a whole motivation thing we can talk about later. But I talked to her, I said, look, you're paying the money, right? I need you to have results. Like, I want you to succeed. I'm not doing this. I only take on a couple clients at a time for the sake of I need to spend a lot of time with them and make sure like I give them my full attention. And I'm like, what's going on here? And we had a long, probably 25-minute conversation. And at the end of it, she's crying. Because we really got down to the truth. And the truth is what we talked about before was she was nervous that she was going to fail. She was nervous that she was wasting her time, that she had, not to give too specifics, but that she didn't feel like she was enough. She didn't feel like she was worthy to lose all this weight. Our goal was to lose like 60 or 70 pounds. And she didn't feel like she was worthy to do so. And so we broke that down. And I think part of it also was she felt overwhelmed with the workout program, this amazing thing. And she thought, I did too much too soon. So what we did was we broke it down even further. And we're like, okay, let's break this down even further. Let's start over. Forget the workout program. Forget everything. We're done. Here's what we're going to focus on. I want you to go for a 10-minute walk after this call. While you're motivated, while you do it. And I want you to reflect on how you feel right now, sitting down for 4 hours, previously, and how you feel standing up. And I want you to write that down immediately and text me and whatever it is. 10-minute walk happened. She tells me, Scott, that was amazing. I went for 30 minutes. I said, okay. So now we put, so first off, great job. She felt so much better, had more energy. Her thoughts were more clear. Because when you're sitting down all day, your thoughts just kind of mush together in your brain. And then when you stand up, finally oxygen goes to your brain and you start to kind of like, wow. Like, if you're ever trying to make a decision, here's a good tidbit. If you're ever trying to make a decision and you've been sitting for a bit, stand up. Give yourself 10 seconds, stand up, move around, then make your decision. You'll make a different decision. Because like when you're sitting down on the couch watching TV, it's so easy to say, no, I'm just going to have that bag of chips, or I'm not going to go to the gym, or I'm not going to do this. Versus if you stand up, you realize, all right, I'll go to the gym, or okay, I'll do this. I'm not saying do anything else other than stand up for like 10 seconds. You will feel significantly different. I know it works for me when I'm having those mental dilemmas. But back to the client. It's so she starts walking. I said, okay, our new plan is to start walking. Let's go walking. Can we walk for 10 minutes every day? She's like, yes. I said, are you sure? Maybe we start with 4 days a week. Intent walking. So we started focusing on steps. And from the beginning of when we worked together, she was doing like 500 steps a day. To at the end of when we were working together, she was doing 7,000 steps a day. Now, what I pride myself on in this situation specifically was that we finally created a way to move that mountain out of her way so that she can build the confidence in herself to keep moving forward. And that was our goal at the end of everything. Say, we need to get you confidence because you know how to work out. You know how to do all this stuff. It's not complicated. Just start walking, just start adding to it. And so by the time we were done, she was doing 7,000 steps a day. She was working out twice a week, and she had more confidence than ever. She was feeling great. And it was a major kind of mental transformation because now that she came to the realization of what was holding her back, she was able to go back to it if it ever did hold her back and say, okay, I know how to get past this. I have created the social proof that I can do this walking for 10, 20, 30 minutes a day. I can burn all these extra calories. I can eat healthy. We created the social proof for her. And now she is able to use that in her life moving forward. So I'd say it's something. So we went over her mindset. We got her moving with the motion. And when I say about motion and momentum is a little different, motion is the concept of moving, but anyone can just move. It takes momentum to move in the right direction. So you could move in the wrong direction. That's movement. We got to get her moving in the right direction. So like, for example, movement. Okay, I'm going to go eat food at this time every day. What I need you not to do is have Dunkin' Donuts. What I need you to do is have like lean protein or whatever it is that you're eating. Like there's a way to move in the proper direction. So mindset, how do we get past this mental barrier? Motion, let's get you moving. What are the smallest action steps we can take to get you moving? And then momentum. Let's build upon our wins. Let's walk for one day for 10 minutes. Great. Put a star on the board. Let's do second day. Let's do the third day. Let's get as many stars on that board as we can. And then you can look back after a month. Wow, of the 30 days, I walked for 26 of them. That's social proof. That's momentum. That's like a snowball going down a mountain, and it just picks up steam because you're starting to give yourself proof that you can do it.
Yeah, it's a great idea. Now's a good time. We'll just take a quick break, okay? And we will be right back.
Holy Hydrogen introduces the most powerful health enhancement device in the world, the Lord's Hydrofix Premium Edition. Studies have shown therapeutic potential for cancer, diabetes, digestive and heart issues, and essentially every organ and system in the body. Visit holyhydrogen.com to see the latest technology that elevates your immune system and fights inflammation. This isn't medical advice, but if you have any health concerns, I strongly recommend that you learn more about hydrogen. Visit holyhydrogen.com to learn more about this groundbreaking gold standard hydrogen generator that for a reasonable price creates therapeutic quality hydrogen gas for inhalation and hydrogen infused water for consumption. Remember, holyhydrogen.com.
And welcome back. We are with Scott Friedman today. We are talking mindset and fitness. And just before the break, you were talking about your client who was wanting to lose some weight. So can you give us some tips on how we can get off this hamster wheel of weight loss?
Yeah, I hope so. Because everyone, the specific reason for wanting to lose weight is a little different to everyone. So not all advice works for everyone, but a couple different pieces of advice is, number one is, really be specific with your goal. I think that is something that people don't quite think is that important. For example, New Year's resolutioners, of health related goals, 75% give up in like 2 weeks. And another, like, I think it's like up to like 85 or 90% give up in the first month. And by like 6 months, only 5% are even still doing it. And part of the reason, not all of it, but part of the reason, according to Forbes a couple of years ago, they came out with a study and basically said that the vast majority of people fail because they're not specific enough with their goal. I want more energy. I want less pain. I want to lose weight. I want X, Y, Z. Not specific enough. So when I say be specific, use like a SMART goal layout, specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, timely, things like that. Mm-hmm. So if you say you want to lose weight, like identify, okay, I want to lose how much weight do you want to lose? By when? Is that a realistic timetable? So if you say you want to lose 20 pounds in 1 month, I'd argue that that's not a realistic way to do it. But so understanding kind of that dynamic, that's step number one, is really identify what you want and be very specific with it. I think that is a crucial component to any goal, specifically losing weight, is be specific. Number two, and this one I don't actually share very often, so this is a special piece, is understand what it takes to actually achieve the goal. So what does this mean? It means that when you say you want to lose weight, and let's say your goal is, okay, I'm going to lose 1 pound every week for 20 weeks. I'm going to lose 20 pounds, right? That's a very realistic, reasonable, that works in all nutrition metrics.
Sure.
But what you don't have in that goal is the proper perspective of what's actually going to happen. Because what's actually going to happen is rarely ever like this, where it's a straight line down. It's usually like a, but it's trending downwards. And so what happens is, let's say the first 5 weeks, it's easy. You've actually lost like 7 pounds. This is going great. And then week 8, 9, and 10, you haven't lost any weight. Week 11, you gained a pound. Then week 12, you lost a pound. And now you're like, what's going on? This is ridiculous. I don't want to do this anymore. And people and that's a big reason why people quit, because they get annoyed, they're frustrated. This doesn't work. Whatever it is, I'm not good enough. Whatever the excuse is.
And they get discouraged as well, because they're focused on getting the weight off and it doesn't come off. Yeah.
Yeah, and so it's like, what's going on? And you don't have an answer. You feel hopeless. You feel discouraged, so you quit. And that's only because, well, there's two reasons, but the one right here is your perspective of how to achieve the goal was not set properly in the first place. If you are going on a hike or you're going on a walk, let's say, and there's like a big hill that you have to climb over, you're not going to wear heels. Okay. But most people in the situation are wearing heels. They go on the walk and they go, oh my gosh, there's this mountain in the way of my walk and I'm in heels. How am I supposed to get up here? And you can't, because you're not equipped mentally for the situation. So if you go into a situation with the goal, understand there's going to be setbacks. Now, you might not know what the setbacks are, but at minimum, tell yourself, okay, this is not going to be a straight line down. There's going to be at least 2 or 3 setbacks along the way, and I'm going to be prepared for them a lot. Now, as you gain more knowledge, if you have someone to help you, they can identify specifically, well, here's one setback that's going to happen. You're going to gain some weight at some point. At some point in your weight loss journey, you're probably going to gain weight. We don't know when. We know we don't know how much, but we know it's going to happen. And so identifying those pitfalls, if you can, and if you don't, that's obviously educating and figuring yourself out and gaining the knowledge base. But that's number 2, is really identify pitfalls ahead of time so that you don't wear heels on a hike when there's a mountain, right? That's the best example I can give, because no one would do that. That's number 2. And then a third one, and there's hundreds of tips you can really give, is really just consistency. It truly is. Fitness is one of the few things in life that is pretty well mapped out. If you do X, you are going to get Y. If there's a direct correlation to doing certain things. Now, of course, it's taken to the extremes, and there's gurus, and there's this, and there's this, but keep it simple. If you're just consistent with what you do, you show up every day as a part of the plan, you are going to see results. It might be slower than you thought. It might be more annoying than you thought, but it's going to happen if you just keep at it over the course of the long run, assuming you're doing it in a way that you should be doing it. So consistency is another tip. Just stay consistent. It's going to take longer. Don't think about necessarily the result per se. Think about, hey, this is a process. What is so why do I want to lose 40 pounds? Seriously, if your goal is to lose 40 pounds, why do you want to lose 40 pounds? Well, because I want to look better in a bikini. I want to look better in a bathing suit. Okay, what else? I want to live longer. What does that mean? Well, my mom had chronic disease with hypertension. My dad had this, my uncle. Okay, I don't want any of those. I want any of these chronic diseases. I have a family history of this. I want to be able to play with my kids. You get all these lists of reasons, which I also think is another point you can do. Write down every list that you
all the reasons. Mm-hmm.
Reasons why, because that creates a visceral reaction, and that gets you. We haven't talked about this, but that keeps you going in the long run. But then when you break down those reasons why, you're able to be more consistent over the course of the long run because you're doing it not for a specific goal, right? I'm not losing weight to just lose weight. I'm losing weight so I can play with my kid and beat them at every sport, or play with my grandkid when my kids have kids. I want to be able to babysit when they go out of town. I want to be that grandfather, their grandmother, whatever it is. I'm not doing it to lose the weight. I'm doing it to create a higher quality life. I'm doing it to create longevity. I'm doing it to create less pain. And so it's not actually about the weight loss necessarily. It's about creating a higher quality life. And as long as you're consistent and you keep pushing forward, you just show up over and over again, you are slowly, even if the goal takes longer than you thought, you are creating that higher quality of life. And in 20 or 30 years from now, you're going to reap all the benefits of that.
Mm-hmm. And, the whole weight loss thing, it's like a marathon instead of a sprint, isn't it? You've got to take it in small steps. It's not something you're going to get there so fast, or at least as fast as we want to, because we all think we could lose 20 pounds in a month would be absolutely fantastic.
Right.
And it might be possible to get it off that quickly, but it's not going to be possible to keep it off.
Well, and that leads me to the second, I guess, another point people might want to talk about is, okay, so the hamster wheel of yo-yo dieting, which is what it's called, is where you see a shiny thing and go, oh, my friend did this diet. It was so great. And then you do it and you see results. And then what happens is when you go off the diet, when you stop with their protocol, and most protocols have you buying very specific things. If you're doing Atkins, you're not doing carbs. If you're doing keto, you're not doing carbs. If you're doing carnivore diet, you're only eating meat. If you're doing whatever it might be, there's a very specific protocol you have to follow. And a lot of the time, it might not be sustainable. Some people can do it, some can't. But unless you want to live that way your whole life, eventually, let's say you lost 20 pounds, you get off the protocol. What happens? Well, you didn't actually do anything to build habits, build knowledge, or build confidence, and to live life normally again. And you have none of the skill set to do it. So you start gaining all that weight back because you're no longer on the protocol. And then, that diet didn't work. Oh, that sucks. Next thing. And then you go to the next one. Same thing. Follow their protocol, an external factor, an external protocol to try and achieve an internal result. And so what I always tell people is if you want to achieve long-term success and not on the hamster wheel of someone else, I do their stuff, I get off their stuff, I do their stuff, I get off their stuff over and over and over again, is just do what is sustainable long-term and build your knowledge base so that you understand why and what you're doing. I know people don't want to learn everything, but it also is your body. It's also you should have a baseline knowledge of maybe I shouldn't eat these 4 ingredients anymore because these are the 4 ingredients that are terrible for me. Maybe I should do this, just baseline information so that they can feel confident, because it truly does not take a lot of information or a lot of knowledge to live a healthy life. I'm not saying that you're going to be a bodybuilder, you're going to be that person on the beach with just a baseline knowledge, but you can live a relatively healthy life. People today still think if they go to Wendy's or Burger King and they eat the burger, it's not that bad for you because, I'm having protein in the meat. And I'm like, well, you forgot about all the fats they cook in it. You forgot the bread. You forgot about the processed cheese. You forgot all that. It's you don't realize that actually is unhealthy for you. So a baseline knowledge is very important. So if you want to get off the hamster wheel, having a little bit of baseline knowledge of just a couple do's, a couple don'ts, and then doing that is a great way. And then you don't have to spend all this money, all this time constantly going 6 months at a time, losing, gaining, losing, gaining, losing, gaining, because that's what happens. Because you're relying on something else and not relying on yourself when inherently you need to rely on yourself. And it's okay if you want to hire a coach or something, that's fine. But as long as you can leave that coach getting all that information.
Yes, it's it's a lifestyle change and not a diet. And, don't beat yourself up if you gain a pound or two, because that does happen all the time. So just to be nice to yourself, because we make ourselves fall off the wagon, so to speak, because we're not kind to ourselves, even though we don't even look at the fact that, we've lost 15 pounds. but I've put on a pound this week, and that's when they get all depressed and fall back. I'm probably very guilty of that myself.
Yeah, if you just change that mindset of, and I understand like this is still tough for me. So I don't say this as someone who's like, oh, I mastered this. It's tough for me. But like when you focus less on the goal and more on the journey, you tend to see significantly better results because you're in it for the long run. You're in it for the 10, the 20, the 30 to 40 years. You're not in it for the 6 months and just trying to do that. Because I guess what happened, like if let's say your goal is to lose 40 pounds. Okay, you do it. Then what? Then what? Do you think you're just magically a new person? Is that has your life changed the way you thought it would? Like, what's next? And if there's nothing next, there's no other goal. If you're at the ideal weight you want to be at, then what happens is you start to revert back because there's no other goal. That was the goal. So that's why I have people really break down and understand, like, it's about the lifestyle, not about the goal, because the goal gets us the lifestyle. And that's what we really want. And that's kind of how I try and change the phrasing, the narrative in someone's mind. Because if it's just to lose 40 pounds, I can get you to lose 40 pounds. But you're probably going to gain it all back unless there's a deeper reason than just losing 40 pounds. Because once you get there, are you going to be able to stop? Are you going to be able to keep doing what you're supposed to be doing? Or I achieved the goal. That's why so many people, like when you see like go to a sports analogy, after a team wins the Super Bowl or a title, it's very difficult to repeat because a lot of people just wanted the title, and it's difficult to work as hard again the next year. That's why most teams do not repeat. And let's say in NFL specifically, because they are not as, I wouldn't say they're not as committed, but like that journey up was so difficult. They just wanted to achieve the goal versus like a Tom Brady who's won 7 championships and multiple different repeats, where his goal is, I want literally to crush everyone all the time, and I have to win to do that, so I'm going to win every year. Versus I just want to win the Super Bowl. I think that it's the same thing, but there's a different process behind it.
I think you're helping people that are looking to lose weight really change their perception about how to do it. I think what you're giving is excellent. I really like it, and I hope people get some really good benefit from it. Tell us then, what is the biggest lesson that you've learned on your journey?
The biggest lesson I've learned is I've learned a lot, like a lot of lessons. There's a couple recently that I really love, but I think the number one is that self-reflection is extraordinarily important. I find that to be something that really keeps me from multiple parts. But self-reflection, in whatever form it takes, whatever form you want to use it in, is very valuable. And at least for me, one, with keeping my mind in check when I'm having more down days, when I'm just not feeling my best, when things tend to creep back up and you start to think, oh my God, like maybe I should go back on those pills, or maybe I should do this, or maybe I should go see some. Like self-reflection is very important because then I can at least talk to myself, be honest with myself. And then when it comes to just achieving goals and things like that, I find that the self-reflection and the meditation aspect of that to be very calming, and I'm able to kind of piece things together and identify, okay, what went wrong, what went well, how do I improve, what am I looking for, how do I quote unquote manifest what I'm trying to do, and I think through, what do I actually want? Like, why am I so angry right now? And I'm able to kind of just take that 10 minutes or 20 minutes and dial it back, and then really like hopefully have a conversation. If I'm, sometimes it doesn't work out that way, but hopefully I can kind of like really dial it in and see what's going on. So I think that is one of the biggest lessons I've learned, is that meditation and self-reflection is not this woo-woo thing. It's actually, there's a lot of science behind it that, I've read a bunch of studies, and it's like, wow, like this actually works. And I do think people would be a lot less stressed and a lot more honest with themselves if they do it.
Mm-hmm. What role does accountability play then in maintaining the consistency? Do you utilize that in your programs?
Well, I think accountability, so there's 2 ways to do accountability in my mind, at the top of my mind. One is external accountability. So like you hire a coach. Like if you're someone who has tried and failed multiple times, or once or never, doesn't matter, but you tried and failed, and you're like, okay, I can't do this by myself. You have 2 options. One, you need to hire a coach. The coach costs more money, but it saves you time. All right. So, that's the monetary time analysis you have to make for yourself. Is it worth the money if it saves me all this time? And you hire a coach, because the coach becomes the accountability partner. So if you're trying to lose weight and you cannot stick to a plan that you found online, or your friend told you, and you just can't do it because you're not that person, then option A is external accountability. Get a coach that's going to push you to keep you accountable. That's option A. That's money versus time. Option B is time versus money. Is I'm going to learn it myself. I'm really going to take a deep dive, and I'm going to learn it myself, and I'm going to figure it out. And I'm going to study. I'm going to spend an hour a day or 2 hours, whatever it is, learning what I have to learn from YouTube videos, from this, and I'm going to learn it, and I'm going to keep myself accountable, because once I have that knowledge and confidence base, I'm going to do that. So those are really, you have basically time versus the money accountability. All right. And obviously I recommend both depending on the person. It just kind of depends on where they're at. If you can't do it if you can't do the time thing, you don't have the time, you got kids, you got all this stuff, you don't want to do it. You're like, I'd rather pay someone to help me, go with the coach option. But if you're like, I don't have money, I can't afford that, gotta go with the timeout. There's only two options that I can see right now. But regardless, the one key factor for both of those is part of accountability is getting emotionally attached to what you want to do. So this is actually my second principle that I teach. The first one's goal setting. The second one is why. And we talked about this earlier, writing down a list of all of your reasons why. Your why should create, and you should be able to write a page. 25 different reasons of why you want to achieve what you want to achieve. If you can't, it's probably not a good goal. All right. And it doesn't matter what the reasons are. It could be, I want a six pack because I want people to look at me. I don't care. Great. As long as it's important to you, go for it. But you need to have a lot of reasons why, and maybe pick out your top 4 or 5 and make those visible every single day. Put on your fridge, put on your mirror, put on your desk, I like to put a note card in my pocket that just has my goal on it or my reasons why. And then when I feel it, I read to myself, oh, that's what it says on there. And I constantly remind myself. Because number one, your reasons why create a visceral reaction of internal support. Oh, I remember what I'm doing. I'm emotional about these reasons. That's why I woke up, an hour earlier today in the snow to warm up my car before my kids get up so I can go 40 minutes on the elliptical and work. Like, no one wants to do that. I don't want to do that. I'm in Chicago and it's freezing cold and I hate it. And it's only going to get worse. And I have zero motivation to go, but my reasons why keep me going. So your reasons why are an internal support system that creates a reaction that helps you keep accountability if you constantly remind yourself, because we tend to forget throughout the day when you're annoyed and when you're stressed. We don't think about our goals. We think about, oh my gosh, I'm so annoyed and stressed. That's why a note card in your pocket, something in your wallet or purse, something that's visible that you read every day are great ways to keep you accountable. So you have the two ways to stay accountable internally, externally, but with both of those, you're going to want a connection point of your reasons why, so that you realize, man, why am I working with this coach? He's so annoying. This is so stupid. What's your reason why? Right? And you just read it off every day. Every morning, wake up, read off 5 reasons why. Before you go to bed, 3 times a day, read off 5 reasons why. Every day, just go through a list and just do it for 2 seconds. It's not, I'm not asking a lot. I think that's a very important thing for accountability, because the reality is life gets in the way. Stressors happens. Events happen that you can't control. Terrible things happen in the world that we can't control that we have reactions to. So you need constant reminders of what you have to do, because I know for me, after a long day of work, personally, I have zero desire to go work out. I will make up every excuse I possibly can. Oh, well, I walked around today at work. Work is so stressful. I was good the rest of the week. I'm fine. I ate healthy. I'll just skip them. I'll do every excuse not to work out after work. I know that if I try to work out after work, I have an 85% chance failure rate. So but my reason why will help increase the chances of me succeeding if I push forward with it. So the accountability by itself is not there unless I keep reminding myself why I should be doing what I'm doing.
Okay, great. And that's a good idea. The card. I like that.
I stole that from Bob Proctor, who's like the godfather of, I think it's mindset, really, the godfather of the 7 laws of the universe. So if you don't know Bob Proctor, I stole that little note card thing from him. So give him credit. He recently passed away 2 years ago. So he was
very recent. It's sad. Yeah. Okay. I know you have an offer. Do you want to tell us about that?
Yeah, I think it says on the screen or whatever, but I have a website, scottspeaksfitness.com, where I do a free, complimentary, zero strings attached power call where we basically tactile go over what your goal is, and we figure out how to get you from point A to point B significantly faster. So you can go to the website. It's on a couple of different tabs on the website, but it's very easily just scroll down. It's right there. Free power call for anyone that wants to do it. And of course, there's always the ability to, if you want to do coaching later, we can always talk about that. But no, for real, like that's it. Just free power call in perpetuity if you want to sign up. Also, let me know you came from this show. I'd love to know if you came from this show. So put it in there so that way nothing funky happens. I see it, it goes through. But free power call to go over your goals and to see how I can help you get from point A to point B way faster.
Great stuff. We've got about 60 seconds left. Do you have any upcoming projects that you want to tell us about?
Yeah, the biggest one is the podcast. I started a new podcast a year and a half ago, and it's starting to kind of pick up steam. The Power of Progress, which is on Apple Podcast and Spotify. It's an audio. I'm starting to put it on YouTube as well. There's also a YouTube channel, The Power of Progress, but haven't really figured that quite out yet. But Power of Progress, mindset, motion, momentum, short 8 to 10 minute audio clips to kind of help you to get through your day with tips and tricks, just like we talked about here. Great
stuff. Thank you, Scott. That fabulous conversation. I'm really glad you agreed to come on and talk to us. I want to say a big thank you to you. Thank you so much. And thank you also to the viewers, whether you're watching live or on demand. We hope you tune in next time. And until then, thank you very much, Scott. Take care, and we'll see you again.
Thank you so much for having me.
Bye now.